What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Dylan, and today we get to talk a little bit about God of War Ragnarok. I want to give kind of just my general first impressions. I'm about 10 hours into the game as of recording this video, and my God, this game is really good. Now, when the reviews initially came out for this game, I think it scored a 94, 95 on Metacritic, and people are saying, it's the greatest Sony first-party game ever made, that it's Game of the Year contender alongside of Elden Ring, who I think we all agree is probably the front runner at this point. And, that's a whole topic for another video, but I will say it's definitely in the conversation. It is already at, 10 hours in. I would say I'm confident in saying it's number 2 in the Game of the Year running, but I've still got like 30 or 40 more hours to go in this game, so a lot can change in that time frame, good and bad, but I expect mostly positive. And by the time we're done, it may be right alongside, neck and neck with Elden Ring, if not better. But like I said, we'll have to talk about that another day. Right away, from a visual standpoint, I want to say this game is absolutely gorgeous. Now, it is a PS4 and PS5 game, so you do kind of wonder how much they had to hold back due to the PS4 version. I'm sure some things are dumbed down for the PS4 version, but I'm ready for Sony to just move on to full-on PlayStation 5 exclusives at this point. This is the day after the PlayStation 5 2-year anniversary, so we're 2 years into the system. I'm ready to just move forward with purely PS5 exclusive games, but of course they need to appeal to the massive install base that's on the PS4, so I get that. They want to boost their sales, but as beautiful as this game is, with the textures and the colors and just the environmental variety that they show, I just can't help but wonder, like, man, what would this game look like if it was strictly for PS5? It's honestly hard to imagine, because the game does look just that good. It is pretty remarkable. But on top of just the pure visuals, God of War also has that patented one-shot cinematography. And if you don't know exactly what I'm talking about, that's where, as you play throughout the game, you'll notice there are no cuts. There's no cutaways to a cutscene. There's no moments where the screen will fade to black and then fade out and you're somewhere else, or time has passed or anything. The entire game is in one shot, and it's pretty remarkable. And I actually wonder how this would affect the game if they did include cuts, because you think of this example. What if you're with Kratos 1 second and he's talking with his friends and kind of putting together a plan of what they want to do to fight Odin and everything, and then the screen fades to black, and then it comes back and now you're with Odin and he's talking to all of his generals and they're formulating their own plan, and we the player are now seeing multiple perspectives, right? And that does a lot to shape the story in our minds. But again, because the story never really leaves Kratos, we don't get to see the perspective of Odin or Thor or the others that may be plotting against us. So that kind of leaves that shadow of mystery. Like, we know what we're doing, but at no point in time do we ever really know what the villains are planning and plotting, or when they could potentially arrive. And so I don't know. It's kind of like a off topic example there, but I think it's an interesting one to bring up. As far as the gameplay and the combat, I'll say it was a little overwhelming at first. You level up pretty quick and you unlock a ton of skills in what I would consider a pretty short amount of time. So it took me probably until 6 to 7 hours before I did feel reasonably comfortable with the combat. You have so many skills at your disposal, and you want to try to use all of them in every battle, it feels like, and maybe that's on me. Maybe I just need to simplify my combat style in those early couple of hours. But at this point now, all of the combos and the button prompts that you have to remember to do all these skills are starting to become ingrained in my brain, so I don't really have to think as hard when trying to summon the next skill, because that was the problem I was running into early, is that there were so many skills, and in the middle of a fight, and I got multiple enemies attacking me from all all these different directions, and I'm just trying to remember, all right, what was the button for this move? What was the button for that move? Because they do get pretty complicated. You know, it's not just R1, R1, R2. Sometimes you have to press back circle R1, forward circle R2, hold triangle, and then hold L2 and press R1. You know, it's not overly simple as far as the button layout. So it was a little difficult to get into at first, but now I feel like I'm in full swing and it feels so good. You can also utilize the environment around you to do some damage, and there's also some increased verticality in the combat now, whether it's jumping off ledges or using your Blades of Chaos to kind of Spider-Man your way up and down the environment. There's still no designated jump button, which I think would fit really good if they ever do decide to incorporate that maybe in a sequel. Obviously, they're going to continue to make God of War games. This franchise is just way too big. But I would be curious to see what would happen if they just included something as simple as a jump button. Speaking of these skills, one aspect of the leveling up system that I really like is that the skill tree does feel very purposeful and useful and exciting to explore. A lot of times in games that have skill trees, you know, you'll come across these level up moments where it just says, oh, like increase 5% damage, or oh, increase elemental damage by 10%. Yay, all right. You know, it gains you a statistical boost, but it doesn't really give you anything tangible. The skill tree for the Blades of Chaos and the Leviathan Axe, they give you a skill every time. Like they're not just passive buffs. There's a couple, but a majority of them are new abilities that you can use in your next fight. And that's always very exciting. Every time I know, oh, I've got enough XP to unlock a new skill, a lot of thought goes into it. I read every single available slot and I say, okay, like what do I want to add to my repertoire? What sounds cool? What looks cool? And then as soon as I unlock it, all I want to do is like get to the next fight so I could try and experiment with that skill. On top of that, the skills level up depending on how often you use them. So if you've got a skill that shoots sparks at an enemy and inflicts fire elemental damage, if you keep using that skill in fights throughout the game, that skill will level up and become stronger. And I think that is a genius idea. Number one, it encourages you to use the skills more often, but also, if there are only a couple of skills that you just really like, if you just form an attachment with one in particular, then that skill will get beefy alongside your character, and it'll just become more useful to you. And I think that was a very smart addition. Next, the side quests in this game feel very extensive, and this was something that was brought up in the Metacritic reviews as well. But in God of War 2018, a side quest or exploration sometimes just was as simple as, okay, you're at a fork in the road. Do you want to go right, which is the main path, or do you want to go left, which is like a side path? All right, let's go left. Let's check it out. All right, they've got a little battle here. We find a treasure chest. We got a little upgrade. Cool. Turn around, go back to the main path now. That was kind of like, not all the time, but the majority, that was the extent of the exploration and the side content in God of War 2018. In Ragnarok, like you don't just discover a treasure chest. It just feels like if you skip out on the side quests in this game, you're gonna be missing some really awesome content. And so that's all I'll say. If you haven't really dove deep into God of War Ragnarok yet, I would just recommend do every side quest that you can, because the couple that I've done so far in my playtime have shown me some really cool stuff. They have revealed backstories to some of the main cast of characters that I think is definitely impactful, and they're also just really fun. I mean, they're really fun. They're creative. It's not just the same thing over and over and over again. So yes, do the side quests, find the side quests, and explore. I found a couple of things that weren't marked either. Sometimes you unlock a side quest and you track it on your map and you go to the icon, the indicator, or whatever. But then I also found some stuff that was not marked, that nobody told me about, that I just happened to find. I saw something in the distance. I said, that looks kind of interesting. I see a place where I can park my boat. Let's go over there and check it out. And I found some stuff that way too. So explore, find side quests, experience the world. This is one of those games that you want to savor. Don't rush through it, enjoy it, and you're gonna have a good time. And now the final thing I'll talk about, and really the one negative I have with God of War Ragnarok, is the amount of assistance given to the player from Atreus and Mimir. And what I mean by that is there are verbal cues on how to solve puzzles or where the player should go next. I remember when Elden Ring came out earlier this year, that was a big talking point, the fact that Elden Ring didn't hold your hand at all. It didn't say, oh, hey, looks like there's a cave over there, or I wonder if there's a chest behind that waterfall. You know, it never gave you any clues as to where to go or where maybe you should look. Elden Ring just let the player go and explore and build their own adventure. And if you ran across something, you really felt like, I found this. The game never pushed me towards this spot. I'm the one who decided to explore this area. I'm the one who found the solution to this puzzle or found this cool relic that unlocks a new ability for my character. God of War Ragnarok is littered with these moments of assistance, unwanted assistance, where you will walk into a new area and Atreus will say something like you'll see in the next clip.
Found a high enough place to drop from.
Now, this has been a constant so far in my play experience, and I imagine it's going to continue on throughout the entire length of the game. It's annoying. It's very, very annoying. I want to try and solve things on my own. I want to find stuff on my own. Atreus, I don't need you to tell me that there's a cool looking statue in the distance. You know, like I'll find it. I'm exploring. I will find it on my own. I actually went into the accessibility menu to see if maybe this was a setting that you could toggle on and off, because I heard that perhaps it was. I did not see any option to turn off this level of assistance. There was one option to toggle on and off. I think it was called like puzzle assistance or something, where you can click in the right thumbstick and your character will automatically face the direction of the general solution to a puzzle or the next place that you should go. But that's not quite what I was looking for. I'm looking for more of like the shut Atreus up button, you know. You can't toggle that on and off per se. I will say though, the accessibility options are insane for this game. Like, they've literally thought of everything. I was actually incredibly impressed, almost like jaw-droppingly so, at the amount of accessibility options they have in these menus. So kudos to Sony. They've been like the pioneers of accessibility options in their video games as of late. I know Xbox has done some cool stuff with some custom controllers and everything, but as far as like the in-game menu systems that you can kind of adjust and customize for your needs, Sony has been like doing really, really good in that aspect. So shout outs there. But again, that's kind of like my one main gripe, is just that Mimir and Atreus just never shut up. I love hearing their stories. I love hearing lore and like exposition on the environment, like where we are, what we're doing and stuff. But when it comes to puzzle solving, when it comes to exploration, I wish they would just keep their mouths shut and let me do it on my own. But that's my experience so far. Like I said, 10 hours into the game, and I think it was like a kind of a slow start. And when I say start, I say probably the first 5 to 6 hours were slow-ish, and then for me it really opens up, and now I feel like I'm in the full swing of things. I'm kind of out of the early game tutorial kind of easy levels and everything. I think I'm out of that section now, and I'm firmly planted into the main game now. It is on me. It is on my shoulders. The game is difficult, challenging. I've died many times at this point, which I love. I'm all about the challenge. I'm loving this game. I am absolutely loving this game. I don't think I have much more else to say. Will this catch up to Elden Ring? I don't know. Elden Ring's still #1 for me for Game of the Year, but we've got a long ways to go, so I guess we'll find out. Guys, that's going to be it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment below what you think of God of War Ragnarok so far, share the video, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.